Hey guys, it's Adam and welcome back to the channel. Today's going to be our first in-depth look at one of the commander decks I play on stream. Franklin the Turtle. I mean Archelos, Lagoon Mystic. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe for more deck tech videos, and feel free to leave suggestions for future videos in the comments down below. So, Archelos, the turtle everyone loves but no one knows how the fuck to build around. Because he stacks on a stick, it's easy to misinterpret how to build this commander by drawing a line from this adorable tortoise to a steaming pile of human garbage. By utilizing cards that let you tap Archelos at your will can slow your opponents down and even delay their win conditions by a turn. So by adding in good cards like Stasis, Winter Orb, and Dampening Sphere, you can win every single game by chasing all your friends and loved ones away. For me, the rule of cool will always try to play a big role in decks that I build. Win conditions have to feel earned and have some form of weakness where skilled players can likely identify how to stop it. This creates a balance of timing for the person piloting the deck and measuring the competence of your opponents. I like to keep decks just in the sweet spot between competitive and casual. That way I can roll up to any table with everyone's favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and put up a reasonable fight. Essentially, the deck tries to win by going infinite with mana using Dramatic Reversal and Isochron Scepter, or Freed from the Real and Incubation Druid. All that mana goodness is then utilized in juicy X spells such as Villainous Wealth, Torment of Hailfire, Exsanguinate, and the obvious Walking Ballista. Running Archelos as a combo deck is fun, but it definitely has its drawbacks. The first being that he's not Thrasios. Okay guys, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. Clearly, there are better, far more competitive commanders that could make this deck far more consistent, but shut up. Forcing everyone to slow down with this adorable tappy turtle causes people to think out their turns more without removing the fun of playing their own decks entirely. Yes, opponent. You can still play your Soul Rings and Mana Rocks and lands, but you're gonna have to wait a turn to use them, keeping the entire table engaged without necessarily painting you as a target because we're all affected equally. Which clearly, we're not. By having a commander that's an Amulet of Vigor for you and Blind Obedience on steroids for everyone else, itches that semi-competitive scratch that players like me feel constantly. It allows you to play cards that would otherwise be absolute hot garbage, which I'll explain more later. So, how do we get there? Ramp must be of the Mana Rock and Mana Dork variety for the most part. If it isn't, your Dramatic Reversal and Isochron Scepter feel real sad in your hand. In this deck, we have to keep the converted mana cost of our cards low to help ad nauseum, 1, not kill us, and 2, draw us into a win condition. Thankfully, with Archelos' ability and Amulet of Vigor, we run all kinds of terrible 2 CMC Mana Rocks that come into play tapped, such as the recently reprinted Diamond Cycle. These, paired with the usual Mana Rock staples, a sprinkling of land ramp spells, and artifact and enchantments that tap creatures for mana, very rarely do I find myself short on mana. There is just one teensy, weensy, little problem that comes with having 5 of the mana ramp cards in your deck being creature driven. It's that, you need creatures to use them effectively, which seems obvious, but a lesson I had to learn the hard way. So, how does one help ensure that cards like Springleaf Drum, Cryptolith Rite, and Paradise Mantle aren't totally dead in your hand during the early game? Why, you tech in Colony Gardens, of course. I remember when I started playing Magic back when Zendikar and Worldwake were being released, and a friend of mine crushed me with this little plant in his Rith the Awakener deck. That taught me a valuable lesson that you should never sleep on a land that creates a permanent as it enters the battlefield. Plus, the fact that it enters the battlefield tapped is barely a problem because his turtles got your back. Card draw and tutoring are absolutely crucial in this deck, as the commander, no matter how rad he is, doesn't let you draw cards or search or scry or make your friends audibly groan when you cast him. So, you have to find another way to win. Because you can't rely on Archelos giving you all the answers, your card draw and tutoring have to be extremely efficient. Card draw spells like Fact or Fiction, Brainstorm, and Pull from Tomorrow work extremely well. Most players don't know what Archelos is meant to do, so they often make bad piles with Fact or Fiction, or they don't counter card draw spells. The fools. And just as a reminder, the card that will put you into a winning position the most is a well-timed ad nauseam. Tutor spells like Vampiric Tutor and Mystical Tutor are clear auto-includes in this deck, but having your tutoring tied to your creatures, this is where the turtle helps you reach enlightenment. Cards like Spellseeker and Trinket Mage can be used and abused over and over and over again to help you fish out all those super efficient cards like Mana Drain, Counterspell, Swan Song, Soul Ring, Springleaf Drum. It's just there's so many different cards you can pull with just those two creatures. So how do we abuse them, you ask? We run terrible recursion spells that are only good in this deck. Obviously, Reanimate will be added to this deck once I can get my hands on one, but in the meantime, cards like Victimize and Mythos of Bracos often catch your opponents off guard. Trading a 0/1 plant token to bring back your Spellseeker and Eternal Witness back to the battlefield to continue running amok feels also good. Mythos of Bracos is particularly a crucial tutor spell as it helps you target permanents from your deck and put them into the graveyard, making it able to target Isochron Scepter and Freed from the Real, or even defensive enchantments like Propaganda in a pinch. That way you're not 100% reliant on just Inventor's Fair and Muddle the Mixture to pick out the cards that your tutor creatures can't get. Did you want to make this a little more complicated? Let's throw Archaeomancer into the mix for even more graveyard recursion goodness. Did you want to use Mythos of Bracos twice? I sure do. Let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and play Archaeomancer. And then you know what? Once I'm done with Archaeomancer, I'm just going to go ahead and victimize him. That way I can go ahead and bring back that Ewit. That way if you keep just kind of screwing up my plans, I can keep reaching into the graveyard and pulling it back into my hand until I have a counterspell of my own. So this deck suffers from the same weaknesses that every ad nauseum deck suffers from, and that's getting punched in the face. The deck does have nice reset spells like Damnation, Toxic Deluge, and Cyclonic Rift, but if a Feather deck is trying to see how hard they can clap your cheeks by turn 3, you're just a turtle on his back. Oh yeah, there's also this one card called Opposition Agent, but I like to pretend that that card just doesn't exist. Shh, figment of my imagination. I'm sure there are great ways to gain life and prevent combat damage in Sultai or the black, blue, green colors, but this deck already has too many sub-themes going on that trying to add one more might break it. If you have any recommendations on how to remedy this problem, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear it. Cards that could be easily added to this deck to elevate it closer to the competitive level would be things like Carpet of Flowers, Demonic Tutor, Force of Will, Pact of Negation, etc. Swapping out Torrential Gear Hulk for Snapcaster Mage would be a real spicy substitute. I do have to say the best card in the deck, the absolute MVP that is always extremely helpful every time you play it, has got to be Sensei's Divining Top. Because you have so many ways to tap Archelos for exactly 1 mana, you don't always have a great outlet for spending that 1 mana, but you really want to tap Archelos before the start of your opponent's turn, so you can stifle their mana rocks and lands entering the battlefield. Not only does the top give you an outlet for that 1 mana, it fixes your draw and allows you to surprise draw a counterspell or a removal spell in a pinch. That's why I almost always, whenever I'm playing Trinket Mage, Sensei's Divining Top will usually always be picked first. Over Soul Ring, over Springleaf Drum, over Paradise Mantle, because even if, those cards are nice, but being able to filter through my top 3, I don't own cards like Sylvan Library, so having access to that in a somewhat competitive deck. Feels real nice. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this deck tech video was helpful, or if it gave you some ideas on how to build your own Archelos deck, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for the deck, or if you'd like help building your own Archelos deck, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hash it out with you guys. That's all I have for you guys today. Keep turning cardboard sideways, and I'll catch you in the next one.